So, I read Reactivity, right? And I think it was like within the home, and you come over.
Yes. And it doesn't matter who, for us, it was interesting. One, it's our first dog that we've had as kids. And we also were doing construction. Our back garage was being completely redone. So we constantly had unfamiliar men with masks on and hats on coming in. So it was part of, we're like, of course, it's going to be protective of that. And then, and you're in COVID, so none of our friends are coming over. And then, like, a girlfriend would come, or like my husband's mom lives in Chicago. Like, she would come over and he would jump on her. And then I had to bring over my jump to kind of knit. And like, he just, even when you like are showing this person's clearly someone that I'm friendly with, like if you show affection to that person, you can't even stop him and control him. And
sure.
Like, the second someone walks into our house, like we had, had the HVAC guy, and I couldn't even talk to the guy because it was so much working, and I couldn't even. So it can be just be aggressive, and then I put that like you bit a friend of mine pretty badly on the arm.
So they're full on.
This one, yes.
Okay.
And now I also take it mildly with a grain of salt because it was a weird instance. We were coming back from the car. She lived right on the corner. She has 2 older golden retrievers. So they were inside. Whiskey was outside. And so it was like an odd dynamic. I mean, that another golden retriever would have had a problem with probably, but some elements can be hypersensitive to things.
Sure.
Did. Anyways, but luckily that was a friend. But and then there's like they'll be involved. And like I do worry about him with kids if he will be like growling, or like in the park,
or when he sees children.
When he sees like a kid. I mean, we have 2 kids. We have 6 and 8-year-old. He's kind of fine with them, but he's not fine with them when they're playing like kids. So it's hard for us. I mean, I'm not going to tell them to not yell and scream and dance around.
Sure.
I would love if they didn't. That's called being a parent to a 6 and 8-year-old. But he gets really, really, really upset by it, and aggressive about it. So,
so break it down to me.
Yes. Okay.
What happened?
Okay. So we were walking back, and so I was with my daughter, and she has 3 kids, and one of them's going to my daughter. She's like, I'm like, no, it's okay. I have it because I know he's like, she's like, just leave him outside. And so I come over just to say hi, and like I was somewhat like. So she's like, come in. And I'm like, we'll come in for like 2 minutes. Like, I have a dog. She's like, but you have to leave him outside. And they live in like a big house right there. You have to leave him outside. I'm like, that's fine. And then I kind of, like, he just had never been left outside in someone's straight plan.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like looking out the window. I'm like, well, we're going to go soon anyway. Like, this was after like 4 minutes.
Okay.
I look out the window. He's on their stoop, but like you can kind of, like his ears are back a little bit. Like, he's clearly not totally happy. And he's not sniffing around or doing anything. He knew when we went in there that there were 2 dogs in there. She's like, he can't come in because the dogs are in there, and they're leaving a lot of and so I was like, all right, let's just go outside. I'm like, let's get the girls, like, get Hunter downstairs. I'm just going to go home with him. Like, we have other stuff we have to do at home. And so she's like, oh, I'll come outside with you. And so he was kind of acting like this. And she's like, it's okay, buddy. He's like, And so she went down to pet him. He just, and then I was like, okay, we have to go.
Sure.
Like,
okay, so what I'm going to have you do here, because that was like there was nips or attempts, and that was the first and only.
That was yeah. He also, there one other was we tried to take those pictures, and we were indoors with like the photographer with flashes and everything. Again, it's not behavior that I would expect from dogs we've had in the past. Like, so that's where I was learning that like the Aussie is part of it's a little bit what they are and how we manage around that. But yeah, that's the first time. And so the other thing is, so we'll like go. So if I'm like walking down St. Margaret's and like going to shop, we totally mellow. They could like often like lay down. Like I was trying on eyeglasses at Warby Parker, and he literally would lay down for like me to try on like 20 pairs of eyeglasses. But then if someone comes up and pets him, he will let you pet him for like 10 seconds and be kind of, and it's almost a fault because he's like such a cute, nice looking dog versus if you have like a Rottweiler that someone's not going to go and pet.
Right.
And you let them pet him for like 10 seconds, you're like, oh. And then, and just growl and and the person pulls away. You know?
And then those were like, he never managed to actually make contact.
Yeah.
Okay.
But all of those, like, that happened a few times. And then it becomes like, and
Sure.
then it's like, God, this is happening a lot. Like, this is happening every time. It was predictable. It was like
Sure.
15, and with me and with my husband.
Okay.
It became predictable of like 15 seconds, and like we can take him to the dog park out here. He'll play with the other dog, like off leash, play happily with the other dogs. You know, growls and barks a little bit, but like Lawrence always felt like puppy. Like he's not like he doesn't have aggression towards dogs. He's not on the leash, like lurching at another dog, barking at the other dog. And then he's good with the people there too. You know, he's never. The only time I worry is like when a random kid is out there playing and like a ball runs past him.
Sure.
Like that's where I'm like.
The incident with your friend, were you holding the leash or was he loose?
I honestly can't remember. I will say that, like, I mean, I could say, I think it was probably loose.
Okay. And then the incidents with the people, was he on the leash or was he just there, like,
On the leash. Okay. On the leash, I think, yeah. Yeah. They weren't, like, totally, it wasn't just like he's lying down, but it was more like I'm looking at the store or someone comes up and wants something. But he's not acting like this, he's like sitting and just staring.
Yeah, he's just getting frustrated before here. So what I'm going to have you do is you're going to grab up on your leash, you're going to choose out to like shorten it a little bit.
And so he's in a martingale collar right now.
Yeah, that's
you
fine.
can tell that. So you can pull whiskey.
Yeah, if you hold the leash, that's like you have it.
Okay.
Okay, you're going to just and then stay right there, okay? Just travel the space. Turn your face towards me, right? And I'm gonna have you bring him to your front. And like, I don't care where he's at, like even here, just so that he doesn't keep rolling around you. Yeah, there we go. And you'll choke up even higher, close to that clip. Right side. So here,
What's it about that?
he doesn't want one-hand boundaries. Okay, he doesn't like being approached. He doesn't like approach. Like someone never
Yeah.
feels like so for dogs, having boundaries isn't necessarily a bad thing. But obviously they can take issues. Okay, but in the beginning, what was he doing? Sniffing and what else?
Nothing about that.
Okay.
Okay.
That's when he started twirling.
Okay. Yeah.
So
that
he
I
didn't
can
want
see,
anything to do with me. He was actually saying, hey, like, I don't like this, like, I'm gonna back away. So that's why I said, don't move. So even though he was twirled around you, I needed him to feel trapped. Because once he feels trapped and there's no escape, that's when you're gonna see the bulldog.
Yeah.
Okay? So then he starts to bark, growl, and then he grabbed this thing. I can feel his pressure through the sleeve. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was maybe like a 2 to 3. Okay? He did, because he didn't try to go there.
Here's my husband's going.
Where is he going?
Oh, sorry.
So, he didn't try. I'm Jesse. Okay, Scott. We were just testing. What's his name? Again?
Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Like the drink.
Whiskey's defensiveness right here, right. So earlier when I came in, see how he's jumping forward and back, right? That's more frustration. What we saw earlier was more defensiveness. So what happened was, I went to make contact with him. He was backing away because he's like, I don't want anything to do with you. But once he felt trapped, then he was like, okay, now I'm going to show you something, right? So he went to this little strap here. On a scale of 1 to 10, means it's maybe about 2 or 3. But he did give a pretty good full-on bite. So there's a lot of like variables. Okay. So he has boundaries in his personal space. it's not bad, right? But it's because he's a dog. Like with the human, we say like, hey, could you give me feed close talker, right? But for dogs, he doesn't have that line of communication. He's going to growl and then eventually, okay. So going to your friend, that whole incident, like especially for inmates, right? You had that in that's what I would expect. I think what you have is personal nervousness. Okay. So nervousness, they'll tend to be like you said, they're fine, and then 10 seconds in, and then they're off, right? Whereas like from the get-go, they're like stay away, back, right? So he didn't give any of them. He just backed away because like what's going on? Sure. They want to kind of pressure on eventually. Okay, now I'm getting nervous. I think something has to. Okay. Anxious dogs tend to not settle. So like this guy, the whole time that we were talking, like he was constantly trying to do something. Chewing on the stick, pulling at your leash and all that stuff. That's overstimulation problems. His brain, so anxiety and overstimulation look similar because it's the brain's inability to shut down and relax. In this case, it's overstimulation because anxiety would be panting, the eyes would be really big, salivating. But here, he's just looking for stuff to do and being preoccupied. Okay? So you got nervousness and you got overstimulation, and that gives you your problem. Okay? So here, when it comes to people entering his boundaries, I can't make whiskey like that. Okay? I have exercises on that, but ultimately, it's like you have your confidence. The only person that can change your opinion is you. Right? So if you go to a restaurant, you have no experience. Maybe you go back again and you have an amazing experience. Now it's going to counter your negative experience. And then you, of course, make your opinion based on that and so on and so forth. Same thing for dogs. Okay? So the entering the home type stuff is actually like the easier thing to address. Okay? The reactivity and stuff out here, easy to address because it's just like relax, chill out. Like even this, you see how he's alert right here? And he's seeing over here that dog and stuff, right? My dog, she's super chill, just be like, okay? But here he's constantly looking for the next thing.
That is his like.
That's him.
Yeah. Like I mean, I can't tell you how much fun
Yeah, in a photo, right?
Yeah.
But
that's
behavior-wise,
that's very easy to get. So, but then I mean, what you're putting in is.
yes, right. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem, right? So then once Scott came into the picture, he got excited, and I went to press him again, right? His mouthiness was completely different, right? It was the same. Okay, so early when I pressed him, it was defenses.
It's funny, at first he was just sniffing it, like,
yeah.
The first 20 seconds, like everything.
And then you got going forward and back,
yeah.
right? And just the mouthiness. Like this all would hold up frustration, right? So overstimulation, if it goes unresolved, becomes frustration. Okay? So there's two kind of things you need to do. One is to settle this guy. It's just what I'm going to have you do here is go to with your left hand, grab onto the leash, you had it earlier, and when he starts barking, you have him not pedal. And I'm going to instead of push up on your leash. Okay? The first thing I would do is I want to work on just calming this guy down. Hold up. And then relax, okay? Is we need to de-escalate his brain to see what does that fix. Yeah, hold up. To calm his brain down. Okay, and then we go, what does this fix? What I know it'll fix is this. Okay, there's barking when he's bored, when he needs attention. The on the notes of the things just chewing on him. Then he started tugging at the leash. Right? All that is overstimulation. That's stuff
started walking away. He always tries to fight when he gets like he's really angry, but he's kind of like you said, frustrated.
It's because his brain is just going. So for dogs, they express emotion with their mouth. They bark, they chew, they lick, they bite, they pant, they salivate, they whine. It's all mouth. Okay? Does all make sense?
Yep.
So once, and I get this, like this past summer, I had like 6 to 8 puppies, all the same problem. And then one class only fixed all of them. Okay, because it's just about discipline. Okay, the hard part, like I said, is the time is about the reason why the territorial behavior is easier, because like I said, it's actually except and it's definitely so essentially he's claiming the moments that he had a life you're essentially being told back and saying this is my thanks for letting me know that they're here when you get chill out. Right? Now what that will do is settle the territorial barking and like any suspicious or suspicion type behavior. You don't have to deliver the person right? Because territorial behavior is what's causing all that to happen.
Yeah, I mean, and I had read about that because even when he was doing it at the beginning, and then I mean, I guess it's how we do that. That's what we learn.
Okay.
How do we do that? Like, my like stepping in front of him and saying "I got this" never worked.
Right, but
Worked maybe like
with we would have
4 months.
training tools
Yeah.
involved.
Okay.
Yeah. So yes, absolutely. By that, so when I say I got this, I'm like kind of speaking human words, but to the dog, you know, you're not literally saying I got this. But yeah, we would use body language, but we also like I'm sure you read. I used to be one collar training, right? His T collar becomes a line of communication. Okay, so as you've learned, dogs might train in order to reinforce things, whether it be a boundary or if he's frustrated or something like that, or he's overstimulated. His BP collar, I like to refer to as a bark, a bite, but okay. So, are you guys familiar with BP collar?
We kind of know, but we've never used it or tried it with him just because we don't really know it. We did start doing like an hour or so in the crate to just try to reduce some of his stimulation. And so with that, we gave him a bark collar, which he kind of barked for the first
Sure.
one or two,
again,
and then
like
now
a
he's good.
stimulator.
Yeah.
So BP collar and bark collar are very similar. Bark collar is different. It has like 5 settings, right? Because all it's supposed to do is stop behavior.
Yeah.
You bark, this goes off. I don't like that. I'm not.
This one seemed to have one setting, to which I like tested the other day, and my 8-year-old saw me do it, and now she wanted to call back on him.
It was pretty jolting.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea it was that, and he won't do it. As
After
dad.
you told me that, I'm like, no, thank you.
But anyways, the e-collar, I guess where my question is, you can take that down.
Correct.
Like that was, I mean, I could feel it for a bit.
Most of our collars are 5 seconds.
Yeah, this was one that we went to Call of the Wild and did a little puppy training, but it was virtual with him. And then he did some boarding at Call of the Wild in December because we were out of town. And there from that, she was like, you should try this. So we got the one that she said that has one setting.
Yeah, because so there's
She only uses it for the crate to do the barking of the crate. And she said take it off immediately when he's out of the crate. Like you only put it on when he's in there, you take it off the second he gets out.
Sure.
We don't use it at night, we only use it for these we do like 10 a.m. and then I ideally would like to also put him in was created at 6, but if it's the bed at a certain amount of time, it's not he just he wants to be in the bath and out of the bath.
For one setting, it's just for the bar color, just the stuff mark.
Yeah.
And the reason why it was harsh is because, well, if it was a lower power and the dog's too tough, then it wouldn't be it. Right? So the E collar, mine has 127. Okay. So 127 would be like what your one setting would be. I have 126 below that. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's much more fun. When it comes to behaviors that we're seeing here, most people think I come in and I target the problem. When I have real aggression cases, yes, because if I can't even touch the dog, I'm already going to right? But 99% of the time, when I get aggression stuff, it's not really aggression. Right?
That is what Jennifer felt. One thing I did want to say that with the touching him, because they had him on like a red alert when he was there at boarding, because they weren't able to move him around with his collar. Just give me since you like they don't want to be grabbing him by the collar. They would do a slip lead, serve him a little bit more distance. But if they would like that, if they grabbed him like this, he would go immediately and try to bite them. And I would say he'd do that with anyone other than us. He does actually. We have a babysitter that comes twice a week, just in the evening, so he doesn't have a ton of exposure to her. But it's been the same person since he's been born, and he won't let her do that either. Yeah. She can't put the bar collar on. Crazy.
Yeah,
she has her 8-year-old doing it.
And that's more happening. He's 10 and a half months, so I'd say he doesn't like that one.
Yeah.
It's like probably like 6 to 7 months.
Yeah. And so at 6 months and a year are when we see behavior changes and stuff. Okay, they're big, like pivotal moments in the brain where they start to mature. Yeah, so straight
So
up.
if you're trying to get again.
Yeah, up. There you go. Then. So that makes sense to me. So that's the type of stuff we're doing. There's exercises for that. And people are going to be going around his collar. And I'm glad that you mentioned that because with the e-collar, the only time I've seen dogs have problems having the e-collar put on them is when they've already had issues like that. Okay, so just be aware of that. Because I don't think it'll happen if we put the marker on them. It hasn't. At least with you guys, are defensive of that. But, it's really going to be collar. That's going to be more kind of consistent. That's for something. Okay. So, the first thing I would do with this guy is we just start doing formal. I know he's probably got obedience from him, John knows, so just like the standard.
But again, it was once a how many weeks? 5 weeks?
Oh, you said it was via Zoom.
Once a week via Zoom.
Sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, he does sit on command with like this, and I want some of the front. Like that is her way of calling him back. And he'll do that. Like say we let him out the side of our house and he's like barking and we're passing the street because again we live on Webster. If you say that, he will come for that. Like that is something that it seems to be working pretty well. Sure.
Sure. So there's 6 basic commands. The ones that are really important to you. One main one is the heel. Formal heel. That hip. So my style of is right hip, right steps. You take right steps, right hip, step.
I'm doing better with that.
I've been trying, but I don't know how to.
Command I used to use with my dog 30 years ago. He used to know that word, but he pulls the shit out of me when I walk. I mean, he kind of gets a joke like he needs to work on that. At least with me, I think with long walks around here, sometimes it's like,
yeah, that we want to fix for sure. That's the first thing that we're going to do, okay? Because that's what's going to fix all these problems. Okay, disability is okay, all that like nonsense of him like being a threat, that's all the easy stuff. That should go away with simply the heel command, but not because of the heel, not because of the heel. So like the barking, that the bark color on the barking. Right? So he's learned there's a consequence to being. The same thing with the stuff, because of this, the same thing with the dog has this. And then I want to see what that fits. If you want to work on socializing, the biggest, most common use of dogs now is that dogs should let everyone in everything, right? Anyone should be able to touch them anytime. It's not how it works. Yes, there are dogs out there that are like that. Like you mentioned, the same one. But I've also met golden retrievers that are like this. Okay? But golden retrievers are more prone to be the heavy like that, right? And it's not anything good or bad. It's just him. So, like, I have a Rottweiler. I mean, I think he's 8 months now. Big problem. But he doesn't do it. He just jumps and barks. But he's right. People respect him. So the coincidence that you said Rottweiler, looks like I went exactly like this guy. Okay? So, we just worked on touch sensitivity, which I showed her a very specific and structured way of introducing her dog name to people. Okay? You gotta have a
Give him that name.
Yeah. So, it's very controlled. We're using the muzzle because it makes everything feel better and stuff. And again, we tend to make it like people, but you have this exercise, and if you keep doing it, you're going to have a greater chance of him becoming social, right? But we can't make it happen in just like that. Make sense?
Yeah, and what can you talk a little? You started talking about the e-collar.
Yes.
Your collar point, but more about like the e-collar training overall. What does it look like? Is it a lifetime commitment? Like,
Oh, sure.
What does
So,
it look like?
With the e-collar, it's just an enterprise sentence. They use the technology on people with nervous office and it's also, somebody mentioned, those ab commercials where it's like, oh my abs, well, you want to stimulate. Okay? So you're not electric.
Strap it on you.
Yeah. You're not electric. It's electric, but not electric. Okay? In terms of the approach, first, again, everything if you want to press it up, like right now when I came into the space, it's 35 minutes. To even press that, we can actually work it. So I'm essentially guiding the ball right about it. Except we have a suit, 60 pounds, we also have a suit. So I can touch him and put a lot of pressure on him and he can do whatever he wants and I can correct him and there's no harm to me. Okay? To let him know that biting itself is not acceptable. And then we have other things that we can do to, again, try to promote the sociability. When it comes to the commitment to the e-collar, whether it's like I tell everybody, that's the most common question I get is when, in my opinion, it doesn't mean, okay, guests coming over, I'm going to meet. You're going to go out for a walk, around the block or whatever, I'm going to meet. You're going to go to a restaurant with them, I'm going to meet. Yes. This is the one thing you did. Okay. So people wonder why training implies training stops at something. Right? So if you have a job and you're like, hey, you get a promotion, we're going to train you in a position. They train you, you learn the skill, and then you can apply it without needing to train. Right? Dogs don't do that. Right? Because dogs aren't proactive. So if you decide I want to learn how to sing, you can start taking some lessons and practice at your choice. Dogs don't do that. Okay? Dogs are reactive. They respond to what's going on in the moment. So if you put them in the kennel, they'll have to bark like that. What do you expect they're going to do? Barking. Put him on bark like that. No barking. Right? So he's responding to the fact that he's in the kennel, some cases without it, some cases with it. Okay? So it's called opportunistic behavior. You guys drive? You go on the expressway? No. You go the speed limit? Why?
Feels too low.
Because you can get away with it.
Not getting caught, yeah.
Yeah, right. But if you see a squad car, what happens? So now we have to speed up.
Let's go fast.
So that's opportunistic behavior. Okay, so humans do it as well, and all animals do it because it's actually part of survival. So if there's like a pond with an alligator in it, the animals won't drink the water if they know the alligator's in it. There's a threat. But once the alligator leaves the water, they see it. They come in, they get to drink the water. So again, you only use it when you need it. If it's a great dog inside the home, nothing's going on, you don't need it. Once you come over, pop it on them, no big deal. And it's not that you're always having to use it. As long as you do your training correctly and you actually follow through. It's that the presence of it just puts you in a different headspace and you go, oh, okay, like, I can't be a rat right now because the cops are here. Okay? So it's nothing good or bad, it's just the way it is.
And real quick, it's not as a because they're reactive and kind of training is more of a lifelong kind of behavior approach as opposed to like train them and they're perfect. By the flip side, can you can you mess up by every now and then if he's pulled on the leash, whatever, he's pulled on the leash this time, I'm not going to scold him that time. Or is that reinforced more permanently? Like what I'm getting at, for example, is like gosh, our kids or parents doing something now, or even looking back when he was a little tiny puppy, that made him worse or more anxious. And if the past is the past, there are things we should not be doing now that don't make his behavior worse.
Petting him when he's frustrated. Like earlier, he came and was barking at you and kept petting him because he was saying, "I need something," and he said, "Sure, here it is." And that made it. That's what's been keeping him overstimulated because there's a constant reinforcer, right? Once we start stopping that cycle, then we start to undo all that stuff. When it comes to reinforcing and not reinforcing the training, I have plenty of clients who have dog walkers. And they'll say, like, Tessa, the dog walker won't use the e-collar. Is it going to ruin the training? You go, no. Your dog will just learn with the dog walker.
Yeah.
I can be a brat, but when I walk with you, I have to behave. So it's like the example I give is kids with their grandparents.
Yeah.
Like growing up when I was with my grandma, like I got away with more stuff. And when I was with my mom and my grandma, and I was misbehaving, and my mom tried to scold me, my grandma would be like, "Oh, no, it's fine." So I learned when I'm with grandma, when she's around, I can push things. But when it was just me and my mom, I knew she was strict and couldn't push things. Right? So even as a learning capacity of, in my opinion, a 3 to 4-year-old child, right? And forever. Okay? So you would never expect a 3 to 4-year-old child to be disciplined and like get a job and all that stuff. Same thing for dogs. They have to constantly be told what to do. It's constantly reinforced. But the positive thing is that over the course of time, the amount of work that you're doing becomes less. Okay? Once you've established everything, it's simply just the way of life. Just like with kids, in my opinion, discipline is a constant presence. Right? If I got out of line, I know it's going to get spent. No matter what. It was a constant thing. It never went away. Oh, once I did that. But like with humans, right? We have laws. Laws that are ever present. Like if you steal something, you get caught, you go to jail. You run a red light, you get caught, you get a ticket. Right? We know that's what keeps society in check. It's a behavior. Right? It's just that as long as you're consistent, it becomes special. Okay? Other
You started to say kind of what you think his training should be, like starting with some basic training.
Yeah, so I have 6, 9, and 12 week programs. How long your program is determined by how much control you have, okay? And also just his behavior. The biggest variable is always behavior, okay? I've had cases where I come in and I'm like, oh, this will be easy. It's terrible. And I've had cases where I'm like, this will be terrible. And it's easy. So I really can't say how it's going to work out perfectly. But I'll give you an idea what we can accomplish. With 6 classes, 2 classes are going to be on heel. What does that fix? Okay. All this stuff here is go. The 3rd class, we're going to keep the phone. Someone coming over, one of my employees, he's got a big old suit on and stuff, so we try something, no one's going to get hurt, and you can learn the exercise without worrying about what's going to happen. Okay? It'll also show you what he's capable of, what he will do if he goes steps in. So those 3 things. The 4th one would be if you want to learn about socializing in a more structured fashion.
Socializing with.
Correct. And we can muzzle for them. Okay? Because people will pet your dog with no permission, no problem, but the moment you ask them to pet your dog, they're going to get a question. But they're like, why? They're like, oh, we're just trying to socialize with them. Just kind of like nervous people. They're like, well, thanks. So we can muzzle there so that we can see them socializing without any kind of risk. Okay? Those 4 classes address the stuff that you have issue with, but then it's time to kind of turn it around. Okay? But again, it's big like people, but we have to get it grounded. And then we see what happens. That leaves us 2 classes. Okay? The next thing that we think for a dog to learn is recall. The other thing that we put into stationary control, which is if I put the down, okay? So I look at your dog, I look at your situation, and I go, this is what you're needing. Okay, this is the priority.
And it's funny, I'm not saying that it's very low gens in terms of more general not knowing what's going on, she now knows it. But I feel like hers and most traditional training start with like recall and then finish with like I don't really I care if you like the example is like he gets out of his collar and he's running about to run the track. Free calls important, but I'm much more focused on the first things, heels, whether he like runs or rolls over. It's not very
Right.
simple.
I think our other big concern is around the kids and how we manage him with
That
crazy
will
kids.
the kid thing will actually affect me. Okay, now let's say we have the first 2 classes, and one of the little guys, we have another people, and I just told her to go somewhere else. Like 30 kids, right? Get the dog to nothing. Because overstimulation and then energy here created a problem. So once we calm the dog down, this energy meant nothing. Now let's say you do that, and you're like, hey Jesse, I did what you said, and you started growling at the kids. Then we go to correct the behavior, okay? Which is and it's very similar to behavior, because behavior simply don't do that. So growing up, if I didn't do homework, if I didn't do my chores, or if I talked back to my mom, spank, spank, spank. One consequence for a multitude, right? For this guy, you get in this person's face, you run around too fast around him, or you touch him without permission, right? Right? Or growl. It's a set behavior to stop something. I don't want you touching me. Right? So that's simple. So once you understand that concept, it's simply aversive to stop the behavior. Okay? So obedience takes time, because he's not meant to sit, so you say sit. That's not an exercise. That's something that humans have created so that we can better control. Okay? So if we did 6, I do bare bones. I go, okay, this is the first off.
And are those one-on-one with you, or are they?
Correct. One-on-one. And then I have the 9 and 12-week program. The 9-week program, over more control, more obedience. Even push behavior, more completed. And then the 12-week program is meant for fully off-leash control. All 6 obedience, and again, we can see a little more. But like, let's say you did a 6-week program, and we ended up spending 3 classes on specific behavior, 2 classes on field, that would literally be 20 classes.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know how it's going to work out. It's usually pretty straightforward, because it's simply information and then grammar. Okay? And the exercise is simple. E-collar is what makes this very efficient. Okay? So once you have all that information, then it's like, all right, Jesse, thanks. We know what we got to do. Right? And then you're very
So we can kind of do the 6 and then see if we want, if there's other things that are not making us
Yeah.
Like after we get through heel, then we deal with the other ones.
I doubt that that's an issue. But yeah, you absolutely could.
One more, slightly more philosophical question. But like, do you feel like we talk about the e-collar and like people in our house having dinner, you have it on? Like, is the vision that we get him to a point where he may not love people, okay, but like he can be out of his crate when there's 8 people having dinner in our house at 6 p.m.
If that's what you want and you're confident, that's the next thing. Is to give you an example, I had a lady who used to go up 27 flights of stairs because her dog was really dog reactive, and it was making her anxious. She'd go in the elevator or anything like that because she was afraid I was going to. So then she did 9 classes with me. We turned it around super fast. And at the end of the program, I told her, like, your dog is great. You have off-leash control. She says, no, I've never had this dog off-leash. I don't trust him. I'll never be around the dog. Right? And I said, that's fine. Like, no rush, but I'm just letting you know from what I've seen. This is what your dog's doing. Fast forward a year later, she showed up. I had to have pack boxes. Thank you for something that's enough. So she showed up, and she had her dog off-leash. And I was like, whoa, hey, how are you? She's like, good. She's like, guess what? He's got a dog friend now. And I walked him off-leash. But it took her longer than the time frame that we had together, because she had to build her confidence. She had to see success after success after success until it's control to go like, oh, I can't do this, right? So when it comes to stuff like that, you will know when you're ready. And you might find the risk of doing something to someone, that's what it's and that's the time you feel like, hey, we've had us over great control. We can take things under control. There's always just people like, hey, you go home, give a 6-foot buffer. And that gets you to that point. Yes, you can. But every case is different. I can't guarantee this stuff because it's an animal. But the more you do, and the more you commit, the more you're going to achieve. Okay? People ask, what's your success rate? That's the biggest variable. I'm like, me, yeah, I fix the problem, but I'm between doing a I'm training someone, not a trainer, who's training a dog.
Do you guys, you mentioned this when you were walking, do you guys also have boarding? Do you do boarding? What does that look like?
So we do daycare boarding. We're going for sure training. So we have a really long muzzle, so like we use more stuff. If you had try stuff, you know, so like you have this equipment on and we're trying to like think around in terms of but we actually had that happen with another Aussie who broke out her muzzle and actually tried to attack us. So my staff, same similar thing, we have snippets and all that stuff that we do. But the days we're doing for training, duration work. So like part of the day is not, so in most places it's play. Ours is playtime, then we do treadmill time, in the summertime we do tack walks, the dogs are walking for an hour outside, and then we have duration work, which is the dog will be in the dog bed, and then we'll exercise. So then the days are lined up, play all day, creates great feed into overstimulation issues. The dog is needing constant stimulation. So this is my brother and I did that with
what does a 10-month-old Aussie need in terms of exercise?
the standard minimum is an hour. Once the dog is old. But your problem isn't exercise.
No, I just what you were making me think is, are we over exercising it? Like, is he getting like?
You're not off leash running
No.
around your park or whatever.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, your discipline is good. And it's good things about the problem. Yeah, and by the way, you know, I have a 30,000 square foot space, so if you want to train indoors.
Okay.
Train
And are you doing that now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you can watch a video of us working with and stuff to get an idea of how we work. And that's the ones who always going to watch us know and it's all verbal instruction now. I coach you through your training, but I'm present.
Okay.
That's great.
Yeah. So at minimum, I'd say 6.
Yeah.
We focus on the main things. If you want more, you can go to program. And then the color you would need, how much does this guy weigh? 50. I'd probably just have a thing that's real simple.
Okay.
It's the most powerful color. But the reason I suggest that is one, it's have a thicker coat. The longer hair, we have to do that. But also, it's aggressive type responses. I'd rather have more stress than peace. Okay,
We're gonna have a shot.
I'm gonna make
I felt it was very uncomfortable. Okay. All right, guys. If you have any questions, let us know. And then whenever you're ready.
All right.
Great.
Good job,
Thank you.
Amy. Appreciate it.
Yep.